All right, show me the money. NFL picks for week number 10 here on the podcast. And join me today, arguably my favorite guest of the year when it comes to NFL picks. We somehow always have a knack of finding him at times, and the Giants are doing miserably. Justin Diaz here. Justin, how are you?
I'm well, Mike. I'm starting to think 5 or 6 years into doing this, it's not so coincidental that you always have me on when the Giants are at their lowest moments.
Yeah, to be fair, when I sort of this is a little inside baseball, people listening to the podcast version here. Fortunately, sort of have a list of like when I want to do this. I said, I'm going to shake the order up this year. I'm going to like mix up and bring people in. And I had Justin circle for week 10 before the season even started. I did not even think the Giants would be this bad when the time I got to them.
Yeah, and to be fair, what year did you start this podcast?
2018, I want to say.
Yeah, so the Giants have been horrendous every single year since you started. So you haven't
Except for
had to
one.
try very hard to get me at their low moments because it's basically been 5 years of just pathetic lows with last year being probably the one shining moment. So yeah, you definitely it's not some big conspiracy. If even though I was jokingly implying it before, they've sucked for 5 straight years basically.
Yeah, they certainly have here. And now we are getting ready to obviously you got to talk about last week at the Raiders here. And I thought this is a good spot for them going in because obviously Raiders are a mess. They fired their coach, they fired their GM. The Giants are playing well defensively. Daniel Jones comes back. Okay, the Giants they win this game. They lose 30-6, and Daniel Jones now out for the season here. Like, what the hell happened?
Oh gosh, it's excuse me. I actually thought it was a good spot too. My girlfriend's brother every week texts me for my top four picks. I've been doing really well, but just take that for what it's worth. One of my picks was the Giants money line, and Giants are terrible. I know that. I just really thought they were gonna have a bounce back game. Jones was back. Raiders just came off that firing McDaniels, which obviously is a great move, but they're just a disaster. I mean, top to bottom, there's no talent on offense. Like I'm going to admit something I'm embarrassed now in hindsight. I've been the ever overly pessimistic, although I would say realistic Giants fan since for the last several years. For the very first time in probably 10 years, I went into the season optimistic and with hope. I really thought this is the year we've got it. Like we finally have turned the ship around. We've washed away the sins of Gettleman's past. We're smooth sailing from here. And then the Giants went and lost 40-0 to the Cowboys. And I can't believe I fell for the trap. But this is all one of my classic random rants. And you ask you a very straightforward question. We have no talent on offense. Like everyone says, Saquon's really carrying the whole offense. He really hasn't done much. Like, and he really hasn't had the opportunity to do much. But he's not what he used to be. And I think people foolishly still think he is. And our best receiver is probably someone that 99% of casual football fans haven't even heard of. I don't even know who you would say the best receiver is. Best receiver is Jalen Hyatt. I don't know. Who would you say the Giants' best receiver is?
All I know is that I heard preseason that Jalen Hyatt was going to torch Sauce Gardner for one route, and that never happened.
I mean, I've seen flashes where I could see him turning into a really good deep threat. It hasn't materialized a lot because the line has been so bad, but also he really hasn't even been playing that much. They have the skilled player talent on this team is so barren and pathetic. Darren Waller's good, but even of course he's injured now. It's just we have nothing going on. There's nothing we're good at. Like it's just the same sorry state of affairs. I feel bad for Jones, but an injury was just inevitable with how much he's been getting hit this season. Granted, the injury wound up being on a non-contact play, but I'd have to imagine that just the weeks of physical like beatings he's taken is just his body just finally gave in, and I feel bad for the guy. It stinks.
Yeah, I feel bad for him too here. And like one thing I was thinking about here is like I want to get your take on two things. Like number one, I said after the week one game, after 40-0 here, I said like, is this gonna be the 2007 Jets where like Mangini comes in, he's called the Mangini's on the Sopranos, and then next year goes right down the toilet after a bad loss. I said the Giants could go this way, and I hate to admit that was right, but that's exactly what's happened pretty much.
It's so. Are you saying is this going to be Dable now? Just it turns out he's not a good coach, and he's
I, I,
gone.
I think I have that worry a little bit.
Oh, it's definitely fair to have that worry. I mean, it's the thing I feel like anyone looks at when you're looking at a coach is just year to year progress. Obviously, there are outside circumstances. If there's a bevy of injuries, just like we were kind of talking about the Yankees before this call. But you need progress, and the Giants have regressed in literally every facet of the game. And Dable's calling card is offense. The offense has been, I mean, it's historically bad. I think they're averaging about 10 points a game right now, or close to it, maybe 11. They've had no sort of, they've had one good half of football. That was against the Cardinals, who going to the season, people didn't even think they were trying to win games. They've wound up being a little more competitive, but one half of good football on offense. The rest has been they're struggling to move the ball in any sort of capacity. So seeing that big of a regression, yeah, it's very fair to wonder if Dable's the guy. I still have hope because last year was so good, and you know I mean they haven't shown anything this year, but just out of the fact that they actually had a good season, I think he definitely deserves another year just to kind of see where this team can go.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll definitely ask you this as a question because basically off your point where you said you were so optimistic coming into the year after what they did last year,
Sure.
like because this year you would say it's fair that like this is kind of what we were expecting them to look like last year when they had no talent and Dable was coming in. It's like, okay, this is gonna be a really rough season, but we're gonna get rewarded for it. You say that's fair, right?
100%. I thought last year was going to be terrible. I think the over under last year was 6.5 or maybe 7.5,
I think
whatever it was.
it might have been like 4.5. It might have been that low.
Oh, was it that low? So you're probably right. I separately had a bet with one of my friends over dinner. He said they were going to win, I think, 7 games or more, and I said no way, they're under that. And I was happy to lose that bet. We went to Quality Meats on the Upper West Side, great spot. But yeah, I had no expectations. I did, and I'm not just saying this as in hindsight. They clearly weren't necessarily as good as their record, but I was okay with that because you saw so much progress from the year prior when they basically made no upgrades in talent. Like on the offensive side, they had Isaiah Hodgins having big games. Slayton was playing well. Jones looked better than he ever had. They were really making it work with really not a particularly like a lot of great players. So I knew I wasn't thinking to myself, this is a great team that's just a piece or two away from a real Super Bowl run. But I really thought, yeah, they'll contend for the playoffs this year. They'll have a competent offense start to finish, and maybe Jones takes a big step forward. It really, I actually thought that was likely. It was going to be a playoff contending team at the very least, and Jones was going to be have a good season.
Yeah.
But not quite.
Yeah, not quite. Does the fact you were so successful last year, basically beyond your wildest dreams, I mean, you get in the playoffs, you win a playoff game, you lose the Eagles, and now you come back and you're back in the shitter like they were. They think they've gone started 2-7, I think, like or worse. I think in 6 of the last like 7 years, last being the low exception. Is it worse in your opinion because you got teased last year with success? Oh wait, now we're back just being in the crap hole again.
Well, a wise man once said, a philosopher who goes by the name of Bane, he was in The Dark Knight Rises. He said the worst hell on earth is that pit that he puts Batman in. And you know why it was the worst hell on earth? Because you could look up and see the sky and you have hope and you have the hope of escape. So I do think, well, that I always want any opportunity as a Batman reference. But seriously, when you have hope, it makes it that much worse. I was not happy, but almost in a way, I was at that point in my Giants fandom where it was so obvious they were going to be bad going into every season that, but when they sucked, it's okay, this is what I expect. You're only going to be so upset when you know what's coming. When you know the pain's coming, you can brace for it. You say, all right, this is what I expected. I'll watch it. This year, going into it, I will say it's not as bad as you would think because that my hope was it vanished so quickly because I said, "Oh, this is just like it always was. I just was a dummy and got fooled briefly." When the Giants marched down the field week 1 against the Cowboys first drive, I was like, "Okay, this is what we're waiting for. Get the field goal blocked, return for a touchdown." My guard's already up. Okay, this isn't looking good. And the Cowboys just start smashing them in the mouth up and down the field, both sides of the ball. By the end of the first half, I thought I'm not kidding or exaggerating. I knew the team sucked. Like it was all that hope was completely wiped away in that first half. So if they had like maybe kind of strung us along for a week or two and played well, and then but like just couldn't get it together and then tanked, that would be worse. But we had seen it before so many times these last 10 years. The hope was wiped away so quickly. I talked to a Giants fan that said as soon as that field goal was blocked in return for a touchdown, he knew it was going to be a bad year. And I believe him, honestly.
Yeah, he got there a little faster than you did.
Yeah, a little bit. At least I gave them the full half, but he was done as soon as that field goal was blocked.
Yep. And now they have a very tough spot. They go to Dallas against the Cowboys again, and now Tommy DeVito, who they were afraid to let throw the football 2 weeks ago, is under center for the presumable near future here. So like, I'm not expecting a win here, but like, can they cover the 16.5 points in your opinion?
Only because it's such a big number. Like that you could get blown out and lose by 14. Like you know how football is. I mean, the Cowboys can completely control the game, be up by 24 points at half, and then maybe the Giants score some garbage points to cover. But the real question is, can the Giants stay competitive in this game? And I think there's absolutely no chance. Like there's no chance outside of insane luck, like the opening kickoff, the Cowboys fumble, and the Giants pick it up and score a touchdown, something stupid like that. Even if the Giants get very lucky, I don't think they could keep it competitive. The Cowboys are going to utterly dominate them. The Cowboys are a very good team. They just haven't been able to. I don't think they've really beat any good teams this year yet, but I mean, they could have easily beaten the Eagles the other night. They're a very good team. They're great at everything, really, and the Giants are good at nothing. Their defense was keeping them competitive in some games, but when you have a quarterback who sounds like he's from Goodfellas or someone no one's ever heard of, like literally Tommy DeVito sounds like a mob character name. I think it is a Joe Pesci character somewhere down the line, wasn't it?
I think so.
I think it was. We got to look that up.
I'll
But
look
no,
it up.
I mean, he's completely overmatched, undrafted rookie. He has no chance. I mean, there's not a legitimately good quarterback. Like if you took I don't think Ryan Tannehill's amazing. He's a solid quarterback. If you put him in this situation, he'd be horrible. Like you could take a solid quarterback with this slate of receivers and line, and it'd be terrible. Now you're asking and let's no offense to Tommy DeVito, he's not a big time talent. He was undrafted for a reason. He has no chance. I feel sorry for him. And facing a relentless Cowboys defense, it's going to be bad. There's a reason the line is 16.5.
Yeah, I did look it up here, and you're right. Tommy DeVito is a character played by Joe Pesci in Goodfellas.
Oh, it was good. I thought so. So, I mean, that's a cool name. It's fitting. I think this guy, Tommy DeVito, the real one is from Jersey too. Again, I could be wrong about that. I never
Yeah,
even heard of the guy.
yeah,
Where is he from?
he played at Don Bosco High School.
Oh, wow. All right. A local legend, but,
Yep,
he should have stayed a local legend. I don't want to pile on the guy. I mean,
he's trying his best.
he's trying his best. He was put in a truly impossible situation. And honestly, shame on the Giants for you might as well not have a backup at that point. Like if you don't think he could throw the ball forward, just use an emergency. I get it. It's bad luck when your starter gets hurt and then your backup gets hurt. But I mean, what are you doing having that guy in the roster? Like he should, if he's a practice squad player, leave him at that. As soon as your starter gets hurt, bring in someone like they have Matt Barkley now. Like he's not good, but he's an NFL caliber quarterback who knows the system. So it's a mess.
It is a mess here, and we'll get to the picks here, which is why you're here after all this. So, our
Sure.
friend Jersey Joe Arquino was on last week doing the picks. He went 1-2 on the week here. He had the Panthers getting 2.5 against the Colts. The Frank Reich revenge did not go according to plan. They got blown out. He had the
Yeah,
Rams getting 3 in Green Bay. He picked it before Stafford got ruled out, so I can't blame him on that one. He had the
sure.
Bengals laying the 3 in their game against the Bills on Sunday night. He got that one right. So 1-2 for Jersey Joe last week.
Yeah, I mean, I see you matched him, but I was gonna make fun of him, but I don't want to make fun of you. So that's all right, Jersey Joe. Next time.
Yeah, I went 1-2 league as well. I had the Chiefs in the Germany game. They beat the Dolphins by a touchdown. I covered there. I took the Patriots laying a 3.5. Doug Bill without Fox Sam Howell. I was wrong on that one. And then
I'm gonna stop you
here,
now. You cannot take I'm so. All right. There's so much going on with the Patriots. Mac Jones is terrible. I don't know why people want to think he's not. Like they're like, well, if he just had this, if he just had that, he's not in an ideal situation, but he's slow. He doesn't have a particularly good arm and he makes horrible decisions when he's facing pressure. What is it about him that people want him to be more than he is? He's terrible.
I totally acknowledge he stinks. I look at the spot. I said Washington just ripped their team apart at the deadline. And they're going to be really like pissed off at the game, not show up. So that's why I thought they would win that game.
Rule My biggest rule in gambling or picking games is do not take a quarterback that stinks under any circumstances, even if he's facing another quarterback that stinks. Because quarterbacks that stink will do things you can't predict, and you don't want to rely on a bad. I almost use a curse word, a crappy quarterback like Mac Jones to do anything other than be a shitty quarterback.
Yeah.
So I had to put it out in the public against Mac. I can't stand. It's not even him. He's just bad. You look at Twitter and Patriots fan, Reddit, and like all message boards. Patriots fans will defend. They'll die on the Mac Jones hill. It's bizarre to me. Like he's not good at anything. He's tall and he went to Alabama. So he's like, all right, you want to be our starting quarterback? It's weird.
He's poor man's Andy Dalton.
Well, he'll never be anywhere near as good as Andy Dalton. Dalton was good.
That's why I said poor man's Andy Dalton, because he's not going to be that good.
Yeah, I mean, the only similarity is they're both not athletic, I guess. But yeah, it's fair. Poor man's Andy Dalton. But I actually think Andy Dalton was good. He was a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, and to wrap it up, I took your team getting the 2 points. I was with you. I said this is a great bet, and of course we were both wrong here. So 1 and 2 for me as well.
Yeah, that was a terrible pick, and I made the same pick, so I can't make fun of it too much. But what the hell are we thinking? The Giants are terrible.
Well, I did spend
It's
a week.
right.
I just spent a week before that watching your defense completely dominate the Jet offensive line. I said, okay, this is a good spot. The Raiders are in disarray. Giants still just like sack the rookie nonstop, and they'll win by a touchdown. That's what I thought. And I was like, I was wrong too.
Yeah, no, they just played terrible. Maybe we should have known better. Like I think I was texting Nikki Frietta about it. I don't know why. We were talking about I'm in a survivor pool that he was also in. I actually thought about taking the Giants for survivor, which would have been insane. Or maybe I think I was. And he said you have to account for when the head coach gets fired. A lot of times that actually causes like an uptick in performance, which is exactly what happened. Also, benching Jimmy G is always a good thing. He's absolutely terrible as well.
Yeah, and they were smoking the cigars after the game. They were so happy about it.
Yeah, I mean, the bright side for us Giants fans, we all love Antonio Pierce, Giants legend. So happy for him. I hope he actually manages to turn that into a good run, which it'll be difficult, but you never know.
I also love the fact that like Josh McDaniels got mad because he insulted the Patriots and like his rah-rah speech in the locker room. That was so funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's cliche to say at this point, but it's just so true. Like the Patriots coaches that try the Belichick way when they've had zero success as a head coach is just I can't imagine being an NFL player and accepting some coach with zero track record of success coming in and being a jerk and just having no flexibility. Like Matt Patricia tried the same thing. I remember years ago I vented to you about people complimenting Matt Patricia for the pencil in his ear. I'll never forget that. People said, "Look at this genius. He has a pencil in his ear." It's like, okay, but he's a terrible coach. And nobody likes him. So great job at that. Yeah, the Belichick disciples, Jesus Christ, I almost forgot about our friend Joe Judge. What a jerk and what a tool. Terrible coach. It's one thing to be a terrible coach, but then when nobody likes you, it just makes you a laugh. It just people want to root against you. Like there's likable bad coaches, and people are kind of more delicate with them, and they also get a longer leash because it's like if you don't like someone and they don't perform, they're gone. Like McDaniels' second time getting fired midway through the second season because he's a jerk on top of being a bad coach.
Yep. So reset the records for the year here. Challengers are 14-13. I'm 16-11. It's tight early on here. So, Justin, we're going to get started with the picks here. As the guest, you can go first here. So, where are you going with pick number 1?
Pick number 1, I'm going with the Lions -1.5 at the Chargers. The Lions I just think they're an awesome team this year. I was so wrong about Dan Campbell. I thought he was just a typical rah-rah meathead guy. He's actually a great coach. I think the Lions just are locked in. I don't trust the Chargers at all. I don't think they played well at all against the Jets. Just Zach Wilson's pure incompetence just handed the Chargers the game. Their offense was not impressive at all. I think the Lions are just going to keep their foot on the gas. They're still at play. They still have the 1 seed in their sights. Eagles have a brutal schedule coming up, so I think the Lions know they have to win and just keep up with the Eagles and get that 1 seed.
Yeah, I'm going to spoil one of my picks. I'm with you on the Lions, making a family play in that game here. I think Albert, you said, Chargers are not that good. They have the worst pass defense in the NFL. Detroit will take advantage. Detroit coming off a bye too, which I think is very helpful because this game, like they have 2 weeks of rest, they got everybody geared up to go, and no home field advantage of the Chargers so far. I'm sure there'll be a lot of Lions fans there.
Was gonna say the same thing. That's all I keep hearing. I listen to Ryan Russillo's podcast. He lives out there in LA. He said it's literally a road game for the Chargers every week because it's just every. I mean, it's like one of those things. LA is such a nice city, so if you're a fan of an opposing team and you're somewhat close, you like if you want to travel to a city, you're gonna LA is probably top of the list. So yeah, it's unfortunate for them, but that's another thing that puts them at a disadvantage.
All right, so let's pick one. We're going to pick two.
Pick two, I think a lot of people might be surprised by. I'm taking the Bengals -6.5 at home against the Texans. I'd say a lot of people might be surprised. The Texans they're looking really a lot better than people expected. They had a great win against the Bucks last week. I just think the Bengals are hitting that hot streak that they hit annually now. Joe Burrow looks like himself again. He's playing 100%. The Bengals have basically no margin for error just because of how competitive the AFC North is. So I think they're just fully locked in. I think they're just going to have a massive game, and the Texans are going to regress back a little bit in this game as well.
Yeah, I think it's a brutal spot for the Texans here because Cincinnati knows, like you said, they're peaking right now. They got the big win against Buffalo. They have Baltimore coming up in the next 4 days after that. They're going to try and put a number up here. I don't think they're going to get distracted. I think they'll take care of business, and I think a touchdown is a fair number here to lay for you. You get a 7-point win, you got it.
Exactly. I don't think it's going to be a competitive game. That the Bengals can't afford to. They have to. They absolutely have to win this game. They have to basically win all of their games or close to them because the AFC North is just so good this year.
All right, where are you going with your last pick?
Last pick, I'm taking the Seahawks -6 at home against the Commanders. The Seahawks are coming off of just a shellacking last week. I think they're going to bounce back big time. They again, same kind of similar mentality. They don't have a lot of margin for error if they want to win the NFC West. I know the 49ers have been struggling, but they're going to bounce back. I believe the Seahawks have the 49ers the following week, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken about that, but regardless, the Seahawks are a much better team than the Commanders. I expect them to just kind of dominate the game and cover the 6.
Yeah, I like that pick as well here. And also, Mejir, don't think the Commanders going out and playing in the 12th man is not going to help them very much.
Yeah, it's a brutal environment. One of my best friends is a big Seahawks fan. He loves bragging about the 12th man. I still think they pump in artificial noise, but that's neither here nor there because he gets the job done. And I do think the Seahawks will cover that spread.
All right, so you're on the board here. I already gave up one of my picks to the Lions. You're going to go with pick number 2 on my list here. I had 3 I like this week here. I'm going in the AFC West. I think the 49ers laying 3 in Jacksonville against the Jaguars here. I know they look terrible with 3 weeks prior to the bye. I think the injuries play a big deal in that situation here. It sounds like they're getting Debo back. They might get Trent Williams back here. I think that's what will help them out here. And I think the team spent 2 weeks hearing about how they're overrated. They stink. They're not very good. And I think the Jaguars have been hearing a lot of their clippings as well over 2 weeks. Might get a little overhyped for this game. I think 49ers come out here, make a statement. They think they win by double digits. So I'm taking the 49ers pick 2.
Yeah, I mean the Niners are just dominant. And I'm going to challenge you when you say they've looked terrible the last 3 weeks. They actually they could have easily won all 3. Maybe not the Bengals. I don't remember exactly how the Bengals game unfolded, but the Browns game they should have won. They missed a 30-something yard field goal to win it. The Vikings game, they threw a couple of costly interceptions. They're still a great team. Brock, people went from calling him Joe Montana to, oh, clearly he's a bust. I still think he's going to be, I think he's currently good with the potential to be very good. He's still playing well. He's just making really dumb interceptions when he's trying to do too much. I think that'll be reeled in. And I agree. They're going to cover the 3. They have to win the game. They can't go on a 4-game losing streak.
Yep, that's pick 2. Pick 3, I'm going to take the Ravens laying 6 at home against the Browns here in the big AFC North game here. I think nobody in the NFL is playing better than Baltimore is right now. They really steamrolled their opponents the last 3 weeks. And Cleveland's offense is terrible. I know that Deshaun Watson got paid a lot of money. He has not been good. He's dealing with various injuries here. The run game has not been as good without Nick Chubb this year here. And I think the defense is tempting you to keep it close, but I don't buy it. I think his Baltimore team is just clicking on all cylinders. They'll find a way to neutralize the rush, and Lamar's got a huge game. I'll take the Ravens laying the 6 in the final pick of the week.
I think it's a good pick. I agree. The Ravens look like the best team in the league, the most complete. I think their receivers will wind up being a problem in the playoffs, but for now, they should easily win. Well, I shouldn't say easily. I do think they should win this game. The only thing that concerns me at the 6 is the Browns defense is so good. I mean, like they might be. These are probably the two best defenses in the league right now. I just think that defense makes it tough to cover six. But I do agree, Deshaun just is not the same player. I don't think he'll ever get back there, and their offense has really struggled both with and without him on the field.
All right. So to reset the picks for the week here, Justin has gone with the Bengals laying 6.5 at home against the Houston Texans, the Seahawks laying 6 at home against the Commanders, the Lions laying 1.5 in LA against the Chargers. I made a family play on the Lions. I also took the Ravens laying the 6 home against Cleveland, the 49ers laying 3 on the road in Jacksonville. And those are your picks for week 10 here on the podcast. Coming up next week on the podcast, we got a first time picks guest here. My friend Mike Kelly's coming on to do some picks, talk some Jets football as well as like ready to play the Bills in week 11 here. Any advice for a first time picks guest in your opinion?
Advice, just that's go with your gut. Don't overthink it, and stay away from terrible quarterbacks. That's my advice for anyone making picks at any capacity. Just stay away from terrible quarterbacks if you can. It's that those are the picks that screw you over.
Yep, they certainly do, Justin. Thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike. Always a pleasure. Great talking to you.